Alright, so we're doing something a bit different here on the Mr. Truth channel. Wanted to make some basketball content. Made a video about Rockets shooting guard Jaylen Green, but wanted to make a video on a couple other players. Some of the young, inefficient, terrible shot-chucking young players. Those are some of the players that I'm going to go over in today's video, 5 of them. And we're going to start with number 5. I already covered him, so I'll make it brief. Jaylen Green, who's shooting from the field a horrific 38% so far on the season. Green's an inefficient and ineffective shot chucker. It's as simple as that. He's a pure volume scorer with an inconsistent jumper, but incredible athletic ability. He's really unrefined in many aspects of fundamental basketball, such as, ability to run an offense and usefulness without the ball in his hands. He's still really young, but he's had absolutely zero growth since his rookie season, which, to say the very least, is concerning. This is a guy who doesn't really have a good jump shot, but is taking a lot of shots and missing a lot of shots. And the worst of Jaylen Green that you're going to get is a guy who shoots his team out of the game. The best you're going to get is a guy who's on fire. So he's a really streaky player who one night he's really good, the other night is really, really abysmal. And that's not the type of player that you want to be one of your franchise cornerstones. And I understand the Rockets picked him high and they're trying to develop him, but he's not grown whatsoever. And it might be time to move on from this experiment very, very soon. Number 4, I also made a video on number 4, so I'll make it a bit brief as well. Scoot Henderson, who's shooting an abysmal 40% from the field so far this season. Now, obviously, Scoot is a raw athletic guard with high upside and a lot of potential, but he has no bag on offense whatsoever. When I say no bag, I mean no bag. He's not a jump shooter at all. He's average at best when it comes to playmaking. The game just seems to be a bit too fast for him at times, and he commonly forces a lot of shots that aren't there, and he's useless without the ball. His defense is below average at best. Not a good defender, mixed with no bag on offense, no jump shot, equals bad player. Plus inefficiency, only shooting at an atrocious 40% on the year. I know it's better from last season, but by like 2 or 3 percentages, which is just, going from 37 to 40 is not fucking good, because if you're shooting 40%, that means most of the games, once again, you're shooting your team out of the game. That's just not something you want. So Scoot's got a lot of work to do, but it definitely has the highest potential of any player on this list. But I'm just not seeing all the comparisons to guys like Russell Westbrook, like John Morant. I see when it comes to athletic ability, but he's less athletic than those guys, but he's on par with them in sort of a funky way. But when it comes to scoring ability and potential, I don't see it. I can see Scoot being an above average to good guard in the NBA, but man, right now his future looks very dark and very bleak. I don't know if he's going to live up to all the hype. A lot of people were saying before that draft that in any other class he would have been the slam dunk number 1 overall prospect. I don't see it, and those people are crazy. Going to number 3 now, a player I have not mentioned on the Mr. Truth YouTube page here. It is Alex Sarr, who plays for the Wizards, shooting a horrendous, an embarrassing, a humiliating 35% from the field. He's also shooting 20-something% from 3, which is embarrassing. Alex Sarr, obviously was a high drafted player. He was just, 2nd overall by the Wizards, so a lot of upside and potential, but Sarr is a big who doesn't understand how to utilize his size. That's the worst type of big, is a guy who doesn't understand that he's 7 feet tall. He is 7 foot tall, yet he spams 3-point shots like he's fucking playing 2K. That's not something that you want. I don't need to tell you that. That's not something that you want. He seems scared of the moment sometimes. A lot of people had a lot of worries about him in his game and how it would translate pre-draft. So, right now it looks like he has the makings of a colossal bust. But luckily for him, he's super young, and you can tell that, he's showing flashes of potential. Sometimes he's had some okay games, but not great games. But the fact is, if he doesn't stop shooting threes, he will never be good. Why is he shooting 3-pointers? That's not something you need. You're 7 foot tall. Learn some post moves. Get some footwork. Get a bag on offense. Get an offensive identity. Get a game. Because you're trying to play like every other modern power forward or center, and that's just not how this shit works. You need to be different. You need to stand out. You need to do something effectively and very well. He doesn't do anything very well. He doesn't do anything effectively. He's not efficient. That's the problem with most of these players on this list, is they're not effective, they're not efficient, they don't have any move that they can go to or anything that they can go to that will fool the defender, trick a defender, or, get them a bucket, or get them in the lane, or, let them create a play, make a play happen. They don't have that thing that certain players have. They don't have the it factor. Alex Zhaire does not look like he has the it factor. He has the makings right now of a humongous NBA draft bust. He is not living up to the hype at all. Picked at 2, but playing like he was picked in the second fucking round. Next is a guard for the Utah Jazz, Keonte George, who was shooting 36%. He's a complete volume shooter. He has empty stats on one of the league's worst teams. He's a turnover machine. He thinks he's Kobe, but he shoots like Tony Allen. I think this kid's going to be out of the league in 3 to 4 years if his inefficiency continues. Now, once Utah gets better talent, George is going to be a role player at best, because there's no way they're going to stick with this guy being their main fucking scoring option. Because if that's the case, other than it's him and Markkanen, there's going to be trouble on the horizon. Because Keonte George is inefficient. He is a chucker. He will always be a chucker. The guy is fucking terrible. When I'm watching him, he takes blunderous shots. He makes blunderous mistakes. He just isn't a guy that you want running the show. You don't want him to be the primary ball handler, because if Keonte George is a primary ball handler for your team, they won't win 15 games. And the Jazz will probably win like 20-something, 30-something games. But, man, can you imagine this team without Lauri Markkanen? They wouldn't win a game. Like, that team would not win a game without Lauri Markkanen. That's how good Lauri Markkanen is. Hopefully he's able to get fucking traded to a team that's a contender and he can win a ring, because, you know, how talented Markkanen is, he shouldn't be, you know, festering on poverty franchise such as the Utah Jazz and be, you know, forced to play with shit players like Keonte George, who never fucking passed the ball. People make fun of Michael Porter Jr., never call him nickname, never swing the rock. Have you seen Keonte George? He doesn't have a playmaking bone in his body. The guy's fucking horrific, and that's why he's number 2 on this list. Number 1 is probably the least surprising if you've been watching basketball and, you know, you kept up with the NBA draft this year. You know who it is. It is Zachary Shai, whatever the fuck his name is, for the Atlanta Hawks, shooting an abysmal 38%. I just want to know, why is he attempting 10 shots a game again? I just don't get it. He's simply not a good shooter. He's absolutely not playing like the first overall draft pick. In any other draft, he would have went from the 7 to 12 range at best. I would have picked him in the fucking late first round. The guy's just not really talented on offense. He's a high floor, low ceiling type of player, which, by the way, is not somebody that you should pick first overall in the draft. He shoots his team out of the game sometimes. He has no game on offense. He's a one-dimensional scorer, and he has a horrific 3-ball. I mean, number 1 overall pick. Like, you could say that, oh, well, Wemby in his first year, he had his struggles. He also showed signs of being an elite fucking player. And he's one of the best players in the league now. He's in his second year. He's one of the best players in this league, excuse me. Zachary Shai has shown nothing. Literally nothing. Where's the excitement? Where's the potential? Where's the flashes? Where are the plays? Where's the highlights? There's none. Oh, but he had that 1-3 he made. Like, I mean, I don't understand why players like this get picked so high. You know this guy has a really low ceiling but a high floor. He's a role player. You drafted a role player at 1. This guy will never average more than 17 or 18 points a game. It's as simple as that. If he averages more than 18 in a season, I'll take this video down and I'll make a 25-minute fucking apology, written apology to Zachary Shai. But right now, I'm not seeing any talent with this guy. I don't think this guy is going to be a really good player in the NBA. I think he's going to be serviceable as a guy who scores 9-8 off the bench. But are we serious? This is the guy who's getting picked 1? And the guy who got picked 2 was on the list too, Alex Zhaire. Him and Shai are fucking horrible. They're both French, that's why. Maybe French fucking players other than Wembanyama are horrible. I don't know. You know, basketball in France has exploded, blown up, become one of their most popular sports, and, you know, the influx of French talent coming in, a lot of them are really talented, high upside players. I mean, you got Bilal Koulibaly, who's actually a good fucking player from France. So, he's one of the most exciting young players in the league, Bilal Koulibaly. The Wizards just need to let that guy run the show, man. He's going to be a really good player. He's going to be like a 20-plus fucking point scorer in the future. I'm really excited about Koulibaly. I'm not excited about Shai. He looks like fucking trash. I mean, the guy looks like garbage. He looks like he doesn't even belong on the court. He looks like he belongs in the G League. Shooting his team out of games. His defense is good, but like, okay, you drafted a guy who's really good at defense but can't score. You basically drafted a taller Patrick Beverley. Come on, man. You drafted Matisse Thybulle at 1. That's the ceiling with this guy, is Matisse Thybulle at 1. Embarrassing. I know there was a really untalented draft class, but you could have found fucking anybody off the street better than this guy. Thank you all for watching this video. This has been Mr. Truth, and this was nothing but the truth.